Over 1 million acres of land. Over 11,000 feet of disparity. Home to giants and water slides. Small towns and big attractions. This is Sequoia National Forest. Located at the southernmost point of California's Sierra Nevada mountain range, it's often overlooked by the more well-known parks to the north, and to be honest, we had no idea what to expect. It took us over 4 hours to arrive from Ocean Beach in San Diego, California. Being our first night having moved into a 15-year-old minivan, our number one priority was finding a non-terrifying place to spend the night. We wanted to stay close to our first adventure, so we turned off of the 178 onto Kern Canyon Road, looking for public forest land where it is free to camp. After an hour of scouting, we settled on a discreet pullout for our first night of minivan life. After being attacked by a swarm of wasps during dinner, we were afraid what larger animals we were attracting by our lack of proper food storage. Soon after catching the sunrise over the mountain range, our fears were reaffirmed with the spotting of a bear in the distance. But it was too late to turn back, so we pushed ahead to our first stop. It's a steep hike down from the parking lot, but not a long one. You'll know you've made it when you start to feel the powdery soft sand below your feet. The river was strong enough on that day to overflow the natural pools, but you could still catch a glimpse of the bubbles feeding warm water from underneath. After playing around and then drying off on the white boulders, we made the trek back up to the parking lot and kept heading east. We were in search of a place to stay outside of the forest while we ate through everything we had that could give off a tantalizing scent. What we found was a home for 3 nights. A lake full of toxic algae just outside of the forest, with a patch of BLM land, a grocery outlet nearby, and some phone signal, it met all of our needs for those few days. The only downside to this sandy patch of home was the devastating wind gusts. The structure of our canopy didn't make it past the first few hours, and every attempt at a makeshift shade soon met the same fate. As the weekend approached, our solitude soon turned into a party grounds, but that's the price of free. It may not be the best lake, considering it's technically toxic, but it is a nice place to relax and unwind if that's what you're looking for. After a few days at the lake, we were ready to brave the wilderness again, so we headed north towards the main attractions. Nuzzled along the Kern River is a small town with enough charm to last the whole day. If it's not too hot, it's definitely worth the walk around town. On the main street, there's old Western-style buildings and a park that has a fully equipped library. On the other side of the highway, there's another park that's built right along the river where you can find people taking advantage of the coolest feature I've ever seen in a small town, riding a donut down a natural lazy river. Make sure you come in the early summer months before the river dries out and doesn't allow your tube to glide across the water. As far as food goes, there's a few good places, but generally everything is on the pricier side. There's a deli in the main square with good sandwiches. There's a pizza place down the road with pretty good pizza. And there's our number one choice in Kernville, Kern River Brewing Company. It's off of the main street, but worth the walk no matter how hot it is outside. Or just park there and stop at the market across the street to load up on supplies as you head north. About 1 hour north of Kernville, you have 3 places to choose from. I recommend starting at the natural water slides as it is the most likely to draw a crowd. Water parks are some of my favorite childhood memories, but if you're not a fan of recycled pee-pee water, then this is the place for you. There's 2 main slides, but the first one at the top is definitely the best one, so don't worry about scouting them all before settling on a spot. Don't torture yourself by getting in slowly. It's going to be cold, so just rip off the band-aid and jump right in. We were lucky enough to find a family enjoying the slides who showed us how it's done. While it may be tempting to stay all day, make sure you save enough time to check out the other attractions nearby. You can actually park in the same parking lot as the natural water slide if we find this place, because we're not entirely sure. Google Maps has been kind of iffy, and yeah, we have no reception, so we're just kind of winging it. We'll see what we find. We found less information on how to find this one, but after a quick scout, we found the best way to get down to the pools was to cross over a log and walk down the northern side of the falls. Of course, it's slippery like all rocks near waterfalls, so be careful. These slides may not be as well carved as its neighbors, but the pools alone are worth a short scale down the rocks. Up the road a bit is another series of can't miss pools. Here we had to park on the side of the road at the nearest location we found by the pin on Google. There were a few other cars, so we felt it had to be the right place. This was a bit of a longer hike, but frankly the most scenic of the 3. When you see the large rock formation, stay straight. Don't get suckered by the sound of water and go right like we did. There you'll find the top part of the waterfall and a few puddles to play in. Further down, you'll find two large pools that feed into a long drop, so be careful if you do go down there.
Not an easy climb down, but I think worth it. Don't go in that pool.
On the drive in, you start to question how big these giants actually are. I mean, all of the trees were already taller than any I had in the city. Then you see a trunk that looks about 2 or 3 large trees put together, and the excitement builds. Then you walk up to your first giant and realize you've never seen anything natural that comes anywhere close to the size of these trees. This is one of those places that videos and pictures will never do justice to the experience of actually being there and seeing it for yourself. But here are a few anyways. For not being technically a national or a state park, this wonderland should not be left off anybody's travel list. It may not have the name recognition its neighbors to the north do, but in some regards, it's every bit as exciting and breathtaking. Whether you're seeing them all or picking one of many, Sequoia National Forest has more than enough to make your trip unforgettable.
Yeah, I'm fine, I just fell. Yeah.